My name's Karl Urban, and are you people out of your Vulcan minds? It is my humble privilege and pleasure to be here tonight with you to introduce what has to be one of the most iconic, extraordinary casts in television and cinematic history. The cast of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Woo! These were the people that made it cool to stay at home. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Mr. John de Lancie. Let's give him a big hand, the incredible John de Lancie. Woo! High four. Come on. Give it up, Q! The exotic, the delicious, the extraordinary Denise Crosby! And now, for your viewing pleasure, the indomitable Michael Dorn. The effervescent, the incredible, the psychic empath, Marina Sirtis! Let's give her a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. The cool, sublime LeVar Burton! Cool, sublime! But wait, there's more. We have the effervescent Gates McFadden! Hold on to your chairs, it just gets better. The phenomenal, incredible Brent Spiner! And now we have the strength, the tower, Jonathan Frakes, number one! What more can I say? The man himself, the incredible legend that is Sir Patrick Stewart.
Give the band some! Give it up for the band! Very nice. You sounded like Groucho.
Okay, I'm going to answer the question because no one's answering the question. You know what? You have a point. You do have a point. It's not... The new Star Trek is not what we were doing, exactly. However, the new Star Trek has brought a whole new audience to Star Trek, which weren't interested in it before. And that's the younger audience. You know, you got to understand in Hollywood, it's all about that 18 to 39 demographic. And JJ, because of who he is and his, I don't know, what would you call it? Yeah, you know, what he's doing, suddenly, and through his work in television, there is a whole new audience for Star Trek. Someone like LeVar's daughter and her friends, you know, who love the new movies. So as far as I'm concerned, anything that keeps the Star Trek franchise alive is a good thing, because it behooves everyone for it to keep going. None of the shows, you have to remember, none of the shows pleased everybody all the time, right? So if some of you have issues with the new movies, then that's kind of part of the deal. As I said, those kids that are going to see Star Trek now are making the studios a lot of money, and you got to remember, it's called show business, right? Okay, that's it.
But I think they cast it very well. Don't you think they cast the movie? I think they cast
brilliant.
really well, and the cast works fabulous.
Yeah.
And if I can, I don't know if this is on. Is this on? Yeah. If I can just say one thing, there is no. What?
You had a fan over here. He called your name.
There is no bigger fan of Star Trek than J.J. Abrams that I've ever met.
No, wait. No, you're wrong. I'm sorry, Dean. I'm going to have to interrupt you. I'm sorry. He never watched Star Trek.
That's not true.
No, it is. He said it on Jon Stewart. I never watched Star Trek. I never got it. It was too philosophical for me.
Oh, well, he's a really big fan of Trekkies. I know that for sure. He told me personally, so maybe I confused it.
Yeah,
maybe I
you confused it. Yeah.
But he actually loved, I think it's in good hands with him. I mean, I think the casting, I think these guys are amazing. Karl and the cast, they're just, it's a great franchise. I mean, I think they're going to continue to do really good things.
Thank you.
I wanted to be in Star Trek. Star Trek was a really important thing to me when I was growing up. Gene Roddenberry's vision was one of the very few that I encountered as a science fiction fan that included people who looked like me. Seeing Nichelle Nichols on the bridge of the original Enterprise meant the world to me. So I'm enormously proud to have become a part of this storytelling mythos and to have represented for people who deal with physical challenges, that which Nichelle represented for people of color. It's really been, I wouldn't even have dared to have dreamt this dream when I was a kid.
Trust me, I'm glad you took it.
Yeah.
I'm very happy you did. And for you, Mr. Dorn?
I wasn't afraid of the future. Basically, it was just sort of like LeVar. I was like, oh wow, great, Star Trek, And I had been in the business before, and I worked on a show where, black, white, whatever the case, you could do one show and then that's it. I mean, you never really work again. I mean, it's always that possibility.
Right.
So a guy in line today asked me about that, and I said, you're basically trying, trying not to get fired. That's the thing. You want to do a good job, and you want to be, you want to do well, and you just don't know about the future about that. But I, as a black man in the business up to that point, it's changed a lot.
Yes.
I mean, the geekness, and you see tons of people of color now on television and commercials and stuff like that. So it really has changed a lot. But in those days, you're talking about less than 1% of the people working on television were black. So, you had that in the back of your mind, but it didn't affect, the work. The work was just, and plus I was a Klingon, so it was sort of like, I didn't, I'm sure.
Remember when you were British?
Yes, I was British at one point, but I don't think that people. I wasn't concerned that after Star Trek was over, somebody would say, what about Michael Dorn as a doctor? No, he was a Klingon, so it just doesn't really fit, But no, it was always just about the work, and I was very fortunate because, interesting, like I said, after Star Trek, after the show was over, there was an explosion of a lot more people of color, of different races, stuff like that, in the business. It's always been a struggle, but no, it was not a concern.
Good evening to each of you, including our moderator. Now, Star Trek has inspired us on many levels, new technology, as was already mentioned. and a lot of new vocabulary, as I like to call it, technobabble. And my question goes out to, not to Patrick Stewart, but either LeVar or Brent. Which of you had the most difficulty learning the technobabble in your scripts and learning all the...
I think it was much more difficult for LeVar because he's not quite as bright as I am. And not a lot, just not quite as. Yeah. Uh-oh. I can see it in his face.
LeVar, defend yourself.
My friend is shooting with an unloaded gun.
It's the only way to shoot, really.
Yeah,
It's,
yes.
It's what I was talking about
exactly
before.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly, yes. No, I really felt for Brent because Brent could not brush up during the day of shooting because he had the contact lenses in and he had gold paint on his hands. And so I could always, put the words inside the visor and oftentimes I did, but Brent, on the other hand, had to memorize it, and he would not go to sleep. It's true, he would not go to bed until he was word perfect on all of his speeches for the following day. Is that not true?
That is true. I felt it was the least I could do, and in many, many cases, the most I could do.
If only all actors shared that philosophy today.
Yeah, truly.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me one moment. My favorite line whenever it occurred in any episode throughout the 7 seasons and four movies would be either analyze, Mr. Data, or Mr. LaForge, analyze.